Hello and welcome, this is Eric from AG Racing Central. Even though I have a channel where I cover mostly anti-gravity racing games, I have most of my experience on the genre on consoles. After starting the channel though, it didn't take long for my viewers to push me into trying out BallisticNG on Steam, and boy, I can't believe I waited so long to try this game out. I have far from completed this terrific title from developer Neognosis, but I've seen enough to feel compelled to make this video about 7 reasons why you have to play BallisticNG. Let's get started. Number 1. Nods to Wipeout, and more specifically the OG Wipeout games from the PS1 era. The Wipeout franchise has evolved over the years, and in a mostly good way in my opinion, as it's my favorite racing game franchise overall. But the game did move on from the general concept we experienced in the original groundbreaking trilogy on the first PlayStation console. Those games had a very distinct look first and foremost, but also a very specific feeling when you played them. They really nailed the feeling of piloting a hovering vehicle, which is no small feat for the time period the games were released in. The very drifty way the ships handle in the corners is also very specific for the original Wipeout games, and to no one's surprise, this feeling has been mimicked to perfection in BallisticNG. This is not all, however, as you probably have already seen in the gameplay footage. The ships look very reminiscent of the Wipeout counterparts, and some ship names are also clear references as well. Barracuda and its inability to carry weapons is a clear reference to the Piranha ship from Wipeout 2097, and Scorpio both look like and have similar characteristics to Goteki 45. The retro-style graphics, where polygons clash with pixels in the background, also captures the very distinct style of a PS1 game, and the Wipeout franchise in particular. But just the way the tracks look, with for example speed paths more or less identical to the games that inspired it, make BallisticNG a clear love letter to an era of the Wipeout franchise we haven't seen in quite a while. There are more details, as in how the announcer sounds and how the icons for the different pickups look. All this being said, I'm a huge fan of the direction the Wipeout franchise took that culminated in Wipeout Omega Collection, but having a game that captures the birth of the legendary franchise this well is definitely a big deal. Number 2. The gameplay. Let's put all similarities to Wipeout aside and just focus on BallisticNG for what it is. The game is not afraid of being compared to a groundbreaking gaming franchise, as it's terrific in itself. The controls are very familiar if you ever played Wipeout 3. You brake and accelerate and use air brakes for tighter turning, as well as weapon pickups for shooting your opponents, or use more defensive utility like shields and turbos. With the right bumper you activate the afterburner that trades ship energy for a significant speed boost. The only way to replenish energy is the repair strips close to the finish line, but if you take that route, you'll also lose a second or two of your lap time. Admittedly, the drifty cornering in this game might not be for everyone, as it puts a lot of emphasis on preemptively starting the turn, making track memorization more crucial in BallisticNG than in most racing games. However, you'll be hard-pressed to find an AG racer with tighter and more exact controls. From the main menu, you'll find a lengthy campaign, but also the option of setting up custom races and even tournaments, as well as very challenging precision runs. The numerous different tracks are all well designed with very varied settings. You'll have to navigate tricky chicanes and insane jumps among other things, and overall the game makes good use of the vertical space of the tracks. The many different teams also leaves little to be desired, and you'll probably find at least one that suits your playstyle. Obviously, the Wipeout games influence the ship design, but the craft in BallisticNG has definitely got a coherent style and their own identity as well. Number 3. The game runs on almost any computer. The minimalist graphics might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it does come with one clear advantage. This game will run on almost any relatively modern computer, and I'm not talking about gaming rigs here. I'm playing this game on my work computer that has an i5 processor, 8GB of RAM, and no graphic card to speak of. All the footage in this video is from that particular computer, and even if it's possible to make the game look even better on a pure gaming setup, I have to say that my experience so far is beyond acceptable. I did make a video where I played the game on my really old work computer with an i3 processor and 4GB of RAM, and that did give me quite a few frame rate dips, but chances are any computer you've bought or got from work, as in my case in the past few years, will run the game with no issues. Number 4. Developer support. BallisticNG had its official full release in 2018 and is still being supported to this date, and the last developer update came out on Steam just days before the upload date of this video. This kind of long-term support is impressive from a team consisting of 2 people. I started playing the game a few years after release, but as far as I can see, the community has got the new tracks, ships, balancing patches and more, and to a large extent much has been free as well. Neognosis is setting a great example on how video game support should be done. Number 5. The music. On top of the excellent gameplay and the superb visual presentation lies a terrific soundtrack. The game's lead developer, Von Snake, is actually the composer of much of the music, alongside tunes from other artists as well. You'll find mostly techno beats that draw a lot of inspiration from what you could hear at the club in the 90s, and even if this is not your favorite type of music, you can't deny how much it does for the general atmosphere of the game.
Rockets. Mines. Damn it. Rockets. Perfect lap. Final lap.
If you like what you hear, you can find many of the tracks from the game on Spotify. Number 6. The price. Everything I've mentioned in this video is yours for the very reasonable price of €12.49. In a time of inflation, layoffs and general price increases, it feels great that a game of this quality, with several hours of gameplay, has a price that is more or less a steal. Number 7. The modding community. So far, I've only talked about the base game, but it's also well worth mentioning that Neognosis completely embraces the modding community, and every mod that you have downloaded is accessible from the game's main menu. I've only scratched the surface of the mods that are available, as I'm having enough fun as it is with the base game, but you'll find everything from new ships to mods that emulates the modern Wipeout controls with barrel rolls, for example, and everything in between. If you are a BallisticNG veteran pilot, feel free to elaborate on any of the points on my list in a comment. I ranked this game quite high in my video about the top 10 anti-gravity racing games that you can play right now. Watch it by clicking here. Thank you for watching. I am Eric from Major Racing Central, and I'll see you in the next video.